Hi, everyone. This is Stephanie. I am a member of the regional clubs team at the Yale Alumni Association, and we are live again with Yale Alumni Live, and I'm really excited to be joined today, albeit still virtually, but by a familiar face to the side of me here. Willie the Yalie needs no introduction. Our executive director, Willie Chang, is here with us to talk about what's going on this week that is a very special week for the YAA. So, Willie, tell us why we're here.
Thank you, Stephanie. This week is Celebrate Service Week, and you'll hear more about that. Celebrate Service Week is a series of online events this week. This is the second one. There is a recording from last night, but today is the second in the series of really inspiring and exciting events. I hope you'll be able to tune in. So, the Yale Alumni Association and the Yale Day of Service program is super excited to welcome incoming co-chairs for the Yale Day of Service. They are Karen Green, the Yale College class of 1978, and Rob Greenlee, class of 1983 from the Yale School of Management. So let me tell you a little bit about them. Karen is a Los Angeles attorney who served as a volunteer with the Yale Alumni Service Corps for the Fort Mojave Indian tribe trip and on the trip to Cape Town, South Africa. She'll tell you a little bit more about those experiences. For Fort Mojave, she led the trip's college outreach initiative, and she currently serves on the Yale Alumni Service Corps Advisory Board. She is also a newly appointed at-large delegate to the Yale Alumni Association Assembly and participates regularly in the alumni service community of practice. Thank you, Karen, for being with us.
So here she is. Hello, Karen.
Yes.
Hello, thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here.
Great. Rob Greenlee, our other co-chair, is an executive coach and organizational consultant, originally from South Carolina. Now a proud resident of Boston, Rob just completed a five-year stint on the Alumni Association's Board of Governors. He served as both a board member and as an executive officer. Rob was previously a member of the School of Management Alumni Association Board as well, and he was president of Yale Boston. Rob, welcome. Thank you again for serving, and I'm now going to turn it over to my colleague at the YAA, Stephanie Stevens.
Thank you, Willie. Hello, Stephanie. Hello, Karen.
Hello, everybody. Thank
Hey,
you
Rob.
so much. It's so nice to have Willie on us with us on this Yale Alumni Live. We did have an episode with Willie back when she was in Hawaii, which was a blast. So thank you so much, Willie, for being with us today. We're going to send you out to watch the show, and thank you so much for being here. Bye, Willie. So I'm just having fun with this new tool that we have. So it's nice to get out of the Zoom box and have a conversation with you guys. You know, I've been able to interview a lot of people through Yale Alumni Live, but some of my favorite episodes have been talking to Yale volunteers, people who are extremely committed to the mission at the YA and the university as a whole. So I'm excited to have you, Karen and Rob, today. And so we're going to do things just like we always do because Yale Alumni Live is really dedicated to storytelling and telling the stories of our alumni. So I'm going to ask you both to tell us just a little bit about your Yale story, kind of, you know, your backstory, how you got to Yale, and maybe a favorite memory. And I'm going to ask you to kick us off, Karen, if you would.
Well, when I was leaving middle school, my father sat me down and told me, this is what you need to do to get into these schools. Go to whatever you want. Only condition 3 hours away from your mother. And so when I got into Yale, I met someone and I said, so what makes Yale different than the other Ivies? And he said, our sense of compassion. And that won me over. And I think one of my favorite memories is when I was a sophomore, my roommates and I went to Rudy's. And then we went and knocked on the president's door and invited him to dinner. And a month later, we took him to Steak and Shake, where he asked lots of questions about student life.
That's a pretty good memory, Karen. I'm not sure that I expected you to say something like that. That's really exciting. I love that your dad was prompting you in middle school to prepare for the Ivy League education. Was he? I can imagine he was extremely proud when you ended up at Yale.
Yes, he was happy. He was happy. My mother was disappointed. She wanted me to go to Vassar where she went.
Oh, understandable. An amazing institution as well. Well, I'm glad that you joined our ranks and became a Bulldog. Rob, will you tell us your story of coming to Yale?
Yeah, I don't have anything from middle school, but having been reared in Beaufort, South Carolina, I couldn't wait to get the heck out of there to go to college up north. And I majored in psychology and social relations. And then I started this restaurant after graduation, and then helped found the first psychiatric day hospital in Massachusetts. And I was looking at schools
Mm.
that had a strength in organizational behavior. And I came to Yale SOM. I was part of the sixth class, so early days of SOM, which was so much fun to be part of building the program. And the strength was in organization behavior, so that our first day we would pair with another person to form a dyad, and the dyads joined with another dyad to make a quad, and the two quads came together to have a group of 8, which was our individual and group behavior group, that we went through all sorts of exercises like are you going to be lost in the desert, and will you survive or not, and sort of we tape recorded it, and you learn group dynamics. And one of the big lessons was that you can be really smart and really great at your technical skills, but if you don't have good interpersonal skills, if you don't know how to work with the team, you will die in the desert. and and we want to survive and thrive. So that's one of the great lessons
Mm.
from SOM.
I love that. So you must be really proud of where SOM has come to these days. We just had someone on the show the other day. Her name is Georgia Hursty, and she is the co-founder of an organization called Frailty Myths. And she talked all about how the different Yale organizations for alumni have really helped her on her journey. So it's really nice to see that continuation of spirit through the SOM volunteers and alumni. So we're here today mostly to talk about your individual experiences with service and how you too are coming together for the year ahead of us to celebrate service. So I'm going to ask you to share a little bit about, your favorite memories of service, but also really how did you start giving back at Yale? And Karen, let's start with you. What was that like for you?
Well, at Yale itself, there are opportunities. There were things like we were big sisters with that program, and really rewarding. A lot of those kids, we were the first person that they ever met besides a teacher who went to college. So that's an opportunity to really get them excited. They didn't know, for example, that there are singing groups, that there are dancing groups and theater groups. So that is a really something that excites a lot of kids. Similarly, at Fort Mojave, the teacher asked us to show much longer of the wonderful video why I chose Yale, because she said, "You don't understand. 80% of my kids are on a subsidized lunch program. And when they saw the dining hall, their eyes lit up. And at the end of our talk, the kids were asking all kinds of questions. They had no idea college could be interesting. And they said, I want to go to college and I want to go to Yale. So you can you can make a difference, I think.
Yeah, I think, we've had a few teachers on Yale Alumni Live over the course of the last year and a half. And one of my favorite stories is someone who came to campus, was looking at Yale for her undergraduate experience. And she said that she wanted to be a teacher. And someone said, why would you go to Yale and become a teacher? And her response was, why wouldn't I go to Yale to become a teacher? And she told me just the other day how important it is to her to have the Yale banner in her classroom because it tells her students that this is a possibility for you. So I think that's extremely important to point out, is just by virtue of talking about your college experience, opening the eyes of young people around you. So that's really important. Rob, what about you? What about your roots of service at Yale?
Yeah, well, when I think about Yale, I was in the business school, the School of Management, and my version of service then was actually becoming affiliated with one of the undergraduate college, Jonathan Edwards. and having dinners with the students about what are the possibilities of careers in business and nonprofits and
Hmm.
government. Because at that point we were getting a master's in public and private management, really integrating nonprofit, uh, the public and private sectors. So it's funny because I was so much involved with SOM to have that foray into what maybe I thought of the real Yale was was really interesting, and it's amazing that the students didn't have a lot of conceptions of the possibilities of careers in what an MBA or MPPM would give you. So that was really satisfying to start off when I was there doing that.
And how long have you been a volunteer for Yale in some capacity, Rob?
Oh wow! Well, soon after I graduated, I became like a class secretary for um, my class. But the Yale Day of Service really involved me with volunteerism, particularly related to Yale. But in general, it prompted me because just I remember seeing the launch of it, and you could go online and sign up for something. What I liked about it is that, oh, I can spend a morning here painting. I don't know how to paint, but I can learn. I'm a Yalie. I know how to learn, and just doing a variety of projects like that was just how I got my toe in the water.
Great. And what about you, Karen? How long have you been a volunteer for Yale?
Well, I've been a volunteer since graduation. And but as Rob mentioned, day of service is such a wonderful concept. We focus on May, but there's no bad day to do service. We have a FEB club, but that doesn't mean that we don't have happy hours the rest of the year. Um, for example, the Los Angeles club did a service activity that was impossible to do in May. We decorated a rose parade float for the Seeing Eye Society.
I love that. I love that. So before we get into the specifics of Day of Service, I would love if you could each share a story from your respective service experiences at Yale, because you're not just Day of Service volunteers, you've also participated in different trips. And I know Karen has a number of different stories from her YASC experiences, but for folks that are watching, will you share just a little bit about like what YASC is and how you got involved with YASC and maybe some fun stories from your trips?
Okay. Well, the Yale Alumni Service Corps, people often confuse it with Yale Educational Travel, which has changed its name. But what we do is we go on week-long service trips around the world and in the United States, but they're developed with the community. And I think one thing that makes us different from some groups that you might see is that collaboration. And we meet together before we go. So there's a lot of work that goes into doing what the community needs without negatively impacting their ability to control their destiny. And yes, there are lots of fun things. In Cape Town, we had a performing group teaching kids to dance, and it's very impoverished. And there was a little group of boys who were standing on top of trash cans, waving at me the whole time. And so we sort of developed over the 2 days of the last performances, they just waved and waved. And I went over and asked if they could take their picture. And they were very excited to say yes. And it was very gratifying.
I love that. So, Rob, what about you? Do you have a favorite memory, whether it was a day of service activity or something else that you've done service related with Yale that you can share?
Well, first of all, I just have to say, I think Yaleys are among the most interesting, wonderful, engaging group of people in the world. And so, anytime I have something related to Yale alumni, I'm drawn toward it. And I started with, again, like being a class secretary, but then getting involved with the School of Management board, and then Yale Boston. The big transition for me was. being a delegate for the School of Management Alumni Association to the Yale Assembly, which is, as most people know, is the annual gathering when we used to be able to gather in person. And I was just because SOM was really Yale for me, and then to see all these other schools and alumni and people that were just the breadth and depth of Yalies, and how interesting and good it was to meet those people. Um, but when I think about a particular day of service, the thing that I gravitate toward was called birthday wishes. So I was a site manager for maybe 8 or 9 years, and birthday wishes was set up to provide birthday parties for kids who are in homeless shelters. Because you have your birthday, and if you're in a homeless shelter, it doesn't matter where you are, you still want to have a celebration. And
Mhm.
so it was a great family event where actually I brought my daughters when they were young, and they got to grow up sort of wrapping the boxes that the birthday wishes staff would put gifts in to bring to, and the birthday party supplies to bring to the homeless shelters. And it was just a lot of fun to have them realize what they were doing for someone else, and that these presents and things were not for them, but
Yeah.
for other kids who needed it more
Yeah.
than them. So that
Yeah.
just that perspective.
That's really great. Was that in Boston,
Yeah,
Rob? Or
yeah.
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 What a great organization. So
Mhm.
I know that you both have a lot of examples that you can share with folks, but let's talk a little bit about your new role. The fact that both of you are the co-chairs for Day of Service moving forward. I know this has been a really challenging environment for everyone over the past year and a half, virtual versus in person. What's safe? What's not safe? What can we do? How do we feel like we're giving back? So, I welcome you both to kind of weigh in on what this past year and a half has looked like for service and kind of where you're hoping Day of Service will go in the future. So I feel like Rob, you might be ready to to weigh
Yeah,
in on
yeah,
that. So please feel
yeah,
free to jump in, and
yeah.
then Karen, feel free to add. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah. Karen and I have talked about part of the vision is we want to make it easy and simple for people to be involved, and we want to make it fun and meaningful. So all those things at the same time. And I think there'll be a range of events and a range of activities. And part of what we hope is somebody just has like that one morning that they can go online and easily sign up for something. But if somebody has a nonprofit or a good cause that they are involved with that they think a Yalies can help, that they could be a site manager for that. Or if they have even more time and more interest, that they could then become regional directors to help coordinate other volunteers. And even more is help us as we look at the strategy of Yale Day of Service. How do we reinvent it, particularly during this time? We don't know whether we're going to be all virtual or outdoors or indoors with masks. We just don't know, but we want to be able to be prepared for all those things and to have the range of folks be involved.
Right.
Yes, and one of the things, the pandemic is also an opportunity with virtual service. Sometimes it's hard for people to drive an hour and a half to a service site. And the virtual opportunities that we've had, for example, right now we have a reading club with kids in South Africa. And they were delighted to have a conversation with people, not their teachers, about a book. And that's a wonderful opportunity. There are other opportunities that are multi-site, dealing with the Red Cross
Mhm.
to get uh, fire alarms and smoke alarms installed in homes and apartments. So there are a lot of things to do. And as Rob said, it's easy. If you only have a morning, if you only have one morning in 5 months, that's great. As Spider-Man says in movies, you have a responsibility to do something good for someone.
Mm.
Spider-Man. He's got it right. So folks can do service on their own with their families and let us know that they're doing that, or they can do it as part of one of our many Yale clubs that are based in geography. So if you don't know if you belong to a Yale club, do a little search on our website and find the club nearest you. Get involved with the service project. Any other ways or thoughts that you have on making it easier for folks that might not know how to do this?
Well, go ahead, Karen.
Oh, well, yes, that's one of the things that we're working on. And for example, we've developed some internet searches that you can do in your town, and it will come up. For example, Rob did it recently. And Rob, do you want to tell what
Actually,
your
this coming
result was?
Saturday, I'm going to be helping with the cleanup and the emerald necklace around Boston, one of the parks. So
Oh, nice.
one of our local alumni started that. And it's like, oh, there was a listing. I registered. I'll be signing up, and actually, hopefully, my wife will join me then.
Great. That's wonderful.
But I think what Karen said is that, and Karen's great about researching all these things. She discovered that if you look up, I guess, what was it, Karen? Parks and cleanup, that almost every city in the country has some effort that's ongoing. And the thing about the Yale Day of Service, I think, is that it's the Yale Day of Service. It can be any day in your community, but there is something different about us getting together to volunteer with fellow Yalies that is just different than us doing it on our own. And with us, we use the expression in Boston about FOIs, friends and families of Yalies, that it's not just the alumni, but it's the friends and families that are involved. And Yale is just the organizing umbrella for this, but doing it together is just a better sense of impact and a lot more fun. And I think back to some of the conversations I had, I don't know, hauling furniture for this place that creates a warehouse for families who are just getting started. And you get to know somebody as you're working together, doing that sort of thing, that in a way that you just don't otherwise.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. There's so much power in not only storytelling, but just spending time together. And I know we've all been missing that. So if that is a safe thing for folks to do, please, we encourage you to connect with the Yalies in your community and do some service. And I think I don't know if Mara shared this with both of you, but we have a video. This is technically going to be the big premiere of the Celebrating Yale Alumni Service in 2021. It was ready just in time. So I think now would be a great time to share that with everybody. It's about a 5-minute video. So I'm going to put that up now, and then we will say goodbye for today. But you guys, thank you so much for your volunteers both at Yale and in your own communities. I'm getting tripped up today. Sorry, guys. But I'm going to play the video, and then I'll let you guys give some parting thoughts. Okay? Deal?
Okay.
Sound good? All right. Here we go.
Service is in the DNA of a Yalie.
Realizing the importance of community, I think, is something that everyone has to take to heart right now, and recognize as absolutely essential to what service is and to who we are. And it goes to that point of mutual aid, that our volunteers keep coming back because they're getting something out of it also. Everyone in this day and age has something to offer, and everyone has something to receive.
This is really the beginning of our conversation as we transform Yale Day of Service to year-long sustainable service that transcends the dimensions of time, of place, and of modality.
Volunteering is one of the most selfish acts you can indulge in, in a good way. It enables you to get out of your own head, to out of your worries, to connect to people, to heal yourself.
We've seen that, volunteering from a distance can work. We've seen that our young people are extremely flexible and resilient and adaptable. And although we wish they didn't have to be, it does present an opportunity. That although, you all can't come back here right now, you can still, work with these young people and still make a difference in their lives.
So we currently care for over 70,000 people in Memphis, and we're the largest faith-based, privately funded health center in America.
So our mission at Love for Elders now includes an amazing team and more than 50,000 volunteers across 70 countries working together to fight loneliness with love.
We're really excited and really grateful to have Medicaid expansion in Oklahoma. It's going to give over 200,000 people health insurance and access to health care that they didn't have before.
The impact is actually exponential when you consider the students that we've trained over the years, who themselves affect tens of thousands of patients and inspire others. And so the impact is multiplied many times.
So it's wonderful to see how different people from the Yale community can really help take something from an idea to implementation.
The Yale Entrepreneurial Society has been a great community of other members who want to promote community in nonprofits and startups.
I've seen significant changes that they have done, including the city of New Haven. So that's really exciting.
Because it really is the only university in the United States, maybe in the world, that has pretty much said, we're going to, take some of that endowment money and we're going to invest in the young people of this city.
Social justice and equity and the arts can really intertwine and work together to really amplify every voice.
We have to acknowledge which issues we don't see because of the privileges we hold. And so we're sort of tearing back the curtain and seeing how you can help given the opportunities you have.
It's one thing to care and another thing to take action.
There's a lot that Yale can do. And I think right now is the time to do that.
I've always asked myself this question around Yale and Yale alumni. Is it the university that makes us service oriented, or is the university able to just capture folks that just have this strong kind of leaning towards service?
I can say with a lot of confidence, I think that everybody who goes to or went to Yale has in common is, a drive and a, trying to be the best student, best person, whatever it is that they can be. And I think, we're all good at being good at things. Like that's how you get to Yale. And I think the thing that was scariest for me in the beginning of this, I'm a producer and I'm an actor in my normal life. I know nothing about nonprofit management. And I think if I had stopped to take the second to think, okay, I'm going to start something. Am I qualified? Do I have the right, will it be perfect? Will I be good enough at it? I would have never done it. And I would have entirely talked myself out of doing it.
People, I think right now, you talk about service being in the DNA of a Yalie. I think it's in the DNA of all of us.
66% of the 170,000 Yale alumni worldwide work and volunteer in nonprofits. And just let's make it 100%. As everyone's been saying here, it's in the Yale DNA, it's in everyone's DNA, and we'll all be a lot healthier for it.
Based on my personal experience, if you build flexible, synergistic volunteer opportunities that facilitate deep community building, the volunteers will come, and we as a global society beyond Yale will benefit.
When you're excited about something, it's infectious.
And so people will respond when they sense your passion and your authenticity. Trust in yourself, rely on your friends, your mentors, rely on Yale. You have an incredible opportunity here. And if you have an idea, you're the only thing standing in your way. So get out there and do it because we need you.
So I think it might have been Allison that said it best. Let's make it 100%. That sounded pretty good to me. I love that video.
Wonderful.
And I think it's a testament to the community. And I can't remember who said it, but someone said it. It's not just Yale alumni. It's our entire community. So I think that was really great. And I would be remiss if I did not mention our outgoing co-chairs from the previous year, Betsy Sullivan from Cleveland and Paul Broholm from Amsterdam. We're so grateful for all that they have done. All of our volunteers are absolutely incredible, present company included. Thank you all so much for everything that you've done and continue to do. And just any parting thoughts, Karen and Rob, as we kind of launch into this next iteration of service. And after seeing that video, because I don't think you guys have seen that video yet, have you?
No.
So you must feel kind of inspired to move forward after that as well. So I'll turn it over to you for our last few minutes together.
Yes, wonderful. It really points out, just do something. There's no such thing as a bad day to do service. And you will get as much out of doing it as giving. And you will meet, and it's a great way to engage with the Yale community, but also the community at large. You'll learn things.
I just want to echo that. Please do something with your fellow Yalies to help make the world a better place with fellow Yalies. And also just to go to the YaleDayofService.org. That's the website where people can see what's on there now, but we will be populating it more as we get toward the springtime. And if you have any ideas, please reach out. I know that, I don't know if there's a way on there, but rob.greenlee@aya.yale.edu. That's one way.
Don't worry, we'll make sure everybody knows how to reach the two of you.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, excellent.
Well, I think, it was said over and over, and I've heard it over and over in Yale Alumni Live and all the webinars and the many things that we've been doing together over the past year and a half. It is in your DNA, and we know that you're already doing it. So join us as part of Day of Service. Let us know what you're doing. Organize something in your area. Thank you, anybody and everybody who's watched this and will watch this in the future. Rob and Karen, we thank you, and we know it's going to be a great year ahead. So we'll make sure everybody knows how to reach you. Yale Day of Service, thank you so much for your volunteerism, and we'll see you again really soon. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.